everyone. Doing my Floral Friday today. Hopefully there'll be some people that are coming on live. I'm just going to give it a minute to come on. Oh, I can see somebody coming on. How are we all today? It's absolutely awful, the weather today. It's blowing a gale and raining and horrible in West Sussex here. Not sure where it is where you are, but I'm just going to wait for a few more minutes while I'm just massaging the paste ready, just to see if anyone can come on. So if you are here live, if you wouldn't mind giving me a heart or a thumbs up, just so that it'll show the Facebook algorithm that I'm on live and it will show to more people. I think we've just got one on. Rita. Hi Rita, how are you? Hopefully you're all good. Just going to check my other phone just to make sure that I am live in the right group. And turn the volume down. That's fine. Right. So I think I am live. I think there's only a couple of you on at the moment, so I'll get started. So today I'm going to show you a small demo on how to make snowdrops. It was a poll that I put into the group. And I was quite surprised. I thought the daffodil was going to win, but Snowdrops won by a long shot. So that's what we're going to make today. I've got a little spray here to show you. They are super cute, very simple, but they can be a little bit fiddly. So I'm just going to take you through the process of making them. So I'm just going to move the camera down, excuse any noise, so hopefully I'll still be able to see any comments that come up. So I'm using today Squire's flower paste, and I've got some coloured in green and white. I've got some 26 gauge green wires. I've got my normal board and my tools, rolling pin, ball tool or bone tool. Now the cutter, I'm just going to pop this paste away. The cutter, they come in different sizes and they should normally come as a 2-pack. It's got the centre, so I don't know if I can show you a bit closer. The centre petal has a rounded and a little sort of shaped petal to it, and the other petal is a bit like a daffodil. It's pointed, more pointed. But you can get them in different sizes, and I've got this really tiny one, but I like to use this middle-sized one. So it's probably about few centimetres wide. I can put the information into the group after I've done it. So you've got the 2 pieces here. So what I'm going to do to start with is I'm going to hook a shortish 26 gauge wire, and what you need is a centre to the snowdrop, because otherwise the petal will just fall off. So make a tiny ball of paste on the end of the hook, pinch to secure, and then flatten the end so that we've got a flat cone shape on the end, and the hook is inside. Hopefully you'll be able to see that. Okay, so it's really quite small. It's no bigger than the petal cutter that you're using, because you want the petals to come over and not to show. So this is the first bit. I've got some semolina that I've coloured yellow that I keep in a little pot. And if you put edible glue just on the tip, on the flat surface, dip it into the yellow semolina, that will give you your yellow tip to the centre. Now I would do a few of those. I would keep those to one side to dry. And here's one in true blue Peter style, so that it's dry, otherwise the whole thing will fall off the end of the wire. So it's best to have a few, do all the centres, and then come back to doing the next part of it. So I'm going to roll out, not too thin, because we want to shape this piece of paste, and cut out with the centre cutter. So this is the one that's got the rounded edge to it, the shape. And very often it gets stuck in there, so just pop it out. Just going to keep that piece of paste under there for a minute. Pop it onto your modelling pad and just soften and come inwards. So if you soften and then drag it inwards, it will curl up, and that's the shape that you want. You want it nice and curled at the edges. And then a little bit of edible glue just in the middle, and pop the centre through the middle. This is the dry one. Thread it up, and then just stick that so that it's holding on. So it's the top bit that's holding on to the paste on the cone that we've just made, and inside you'll be able to see the yellow. Okay, so it's like that. So then what I would do is I would hang it on my oasis or somewhere so that it would dry, and then I would do all of those, so all of the centre petals, and then I would come back to that in a minute. So just going to put this piece of paste back in here for a minute. So when that centre petal is dry, you need some pale green dust colour with some isopropyl alcohol or rejuvenator spirit, a couple of drops. I normally use the lid. Please don't shout at me. I just find I only need a little bit. A couple of drops into the lid with a little bit of colour, and then what we do, I don't think you'll be able to see it very well, but where there's a little half moon shape, you just follow that shape with the green. So around, I'll put it up to the camera a little bit closer in a minute. Okay. Hopefully you'll be able to see that. Okay, so it's just on those little indents. And then I would do all of those once you've got them all into a little, leave that to dry, production line basically. And then once you've done all the centre petals, you're going to use the pointed petal this time. Again, not making it too thin because you want to shape this. Cut it out flat. Oh. If it's looking a bit rough around the edge, just run your finger along it. That'll make the cut a little bit neater. Pop that out onto your pad. there's any questions from anybody, just pop them into the chat. I should be able to read them. So on your pad, rounded in the middle, and then pull towards the centre. Again, that makes the cupping motion, which is what you need. Right, a little bit of edible glue, and go slightly down on each side this time. Get your centre, pop it through the middle of the petal. Now this time we want the pointed petal in the gap of the other shape. So we just pull it down, just nice and gently, sticking at the top. So it should just be in each of those little gaps that you had. Okay, hopefully again you'll be able to see that. So that then hangs down, and then again I would draw it up that way. And then once you've got a few all finished, we just turn to green paste. And just a little, and I mean a tiny little cone, into a pointed cone, and a little bit of edible glue just on this top, and then pop it into that little green ball, push it up. So if you had done this and the centre wasn't dry, the whole thing could quite easily just fall off the end of the wire, so that's why it's important to make that centre a little bit far in advance. So we're making a cone shape on the back, and then with your pliers, obviously if you've looked at snowdrops in the garden, they all curl like that. And then normally when where this little arch is, there's a little, I don't actually know what it's called, so if anyone does know what it's called, if you could pop it into the group, that would be handy. But it's this little bit here, this little tiny green bit. So it is the most breakable bit. So if you are going to do it with sugar, then what you need is a tiny little bit of green paste. Make it into a pointed shape, not too long. Mark the centre with a palette knife, and then just glue that centre, and then that's the bit so the indent will help it stick onto the wire, and then you just tease that over a little bit. Okay, so there you have your snowdrop. So if you didn't want to do this out of sugar, because these bits will quite happily break because they're pointed and they're very, very thin, you could make that in from your tape, from your normal tape, and then obviously it won't break at all. So when you see snowdrops in the garden, very often they have these long straight leaves, so they're very easy to make. There's not normally a cutter for them, so again I've got some 26 gauge green wire with no hook, green paste. If you pop that onto the wire, twiddle that down the wire, So what you're wanting is to coat the wire, a bit like doing a twiddle. You can do them as long as you like. You can roll it on your board, find where the end of the wire is, pull that bit off and make that into a pointed shape. And then I've got a corn on the cob veiner here. You don't have to vein it, but this helps just to squash it. So just squash it straight up, which will give you a few lines, and then what you do is just give it a little bit of movement. It will give it support because you've got a wire all the way up, pointed at the top, pinch at the bottom. Okay, so just long linear leaves basically. There's not much to them, and they are quite straight, so you don't need to ball tool them or anything. Nice and simple. But you might want to just give that a little bit of a dust so that it's a bit darker. So I've just got a little bit of dust here. Just let me so I would normally just come up the middle. Just a little, so it's slightly darker in the centre and at the tip. Okay, just to give it a little bit of depth, and then I would leave all of that to dry. So very, very simple. Here's the ones that I made earlier on. So they all curl over, so you would need quite a few, so that's what I mean in making a production line. Hopefully, if I offer it up to the camera, you can see a little bit closer. Or is that better if I put it against something darker? Maybe that's better. Okay. And obviously if you want the leaves in with it. And one of the ways that I have displayed it in the past is using the leaves and the flowers. And on here I've got a piece of cork. It's like a coaster with some just some little, what's this stuff called? Moss. That's it, brain's gone. Some moss covering the oasis so that you can actually just pop the little bits and pieces into the oasis. So you can just add them, so you don't have to tape them, just add that in and they all hang over, and it makes a really nice arrangement. Or you could pop it into a little mini terracotta pot, but that looks really effective as well. So if you were putting them onto a cake, I would make sure that they do hang over that way. They could be in a little spray like this, just laid onto the cake, but they do look at their best actually how they grow. That's what I think anyway. So, is there any questions from anybody? Let's see, we've got a few other people watching. If you haven't been able to catch it right from the beginning, I'm going to save it into the group later on so that you'll be able to watch it back from the beginning. I don't think I've got any questions, but if you do have any questions, if you pop them in, I can answer whilst I'm on live. So we have our little arrangement of snowdrops, and on the next month's Floral Friday for the demonstration, I'll put in another poll. You might want to see the daffodil or primroses I put in there as well. If I just get those, just hold on. I've done a class once before which has been really pretty. So this is daffodils and primroses, which looks really, really pretty. Or a bigger daffodil, because that depends on the size cutter that you're using. Well, that's really nice. So maybe you want something like that. Or maybe you've got an idea of a flower that you've seen, I don't know, in the garden, or something you've always aspired to make. Then always pop that into the group so that I can have a look. And obviously I run separate private classes, so if anyone does live local, I do a Friday morning class. I've also got a beginner's sugar flower class starting, and I've also got a cake decorating one-day workshop coming up, so I'll pop all those in for you to have a look. So if anyone was local, you're very welcome to drop me a message and come along to join. So hopefully that's helped, and hopefully if you make some, make sure that you pop it into the group on our Sunday share, and if there's any questions, again, just let me know. I can't see anything is coming up at all on my, I'm just checking my phone. I can't see anything that's come up, so if you do have any questions, pop them in and I'll come back later to answer them. Happy making! I will see you again soon. Bye.